All right, so the challenges of regionalism in Africa. First, it is all talk. Do you agree that it's all talk?
No.
Okay.
I do.
All right. We have two. We have two. All right. One can say the African Unit, OAU, whatever, in 1991 already, they signed a treaty in Abuja. They wanted to create what they call this African Economic Community. They said that African economy should be integrated by 2025. That was in 1991, okay? And of course, next year is 2025. Where are we? They already started. That was the mid-1991. They said, we're going to do this, and nothing happened. Of course, they started talking about creating this African Economic Community because they already had another meeting when it was OAU in 1980, again in Nigeria. The 1980 Lagos Plan Action had already said that we're going to have an integrated community in 2000. So they already said that in 1980, Lagos Plan Action, in 2000, we have an integrated economic community. Of course, it didn't work. When they saw 1991, it's not working. They said, okay, in 2025, we'll do it now. In 2025, they're going to make another one. Okay, maybe in 2050.
Maybe if they realize the day today, they will have another summit by next month and take it to
2020. So you see, so that's the first one. So it is all talk. That's and then second one, and most importantly, is what I call now. Let's do a look back to history, the political theory and national history of the state. I'm going to be fast. So we have an African state, the state we inherited. Peter Eke, the famous Nigerian sociologist, advanced what he called the two publics of morality. So we have the state we inherited. What is nature of the state? And I want to go to Caden. The question they asked me again, this is important. So the state we inherited, because of the nature of the colonial state, you see, because of tribalization of the natives into ethnicities, you see that a new form of identity emerged that was not civic. So the primordial, and how the primordial and the primordial and the civic publics. Okay, the primordial and the civic publics. All right. So I already spoke about politicization of the tribes. Ethnic groups existed in Nigeria or any other African country as a corporate entities, not as tribalized entities. It was dynamic. It moved up and down everywhere. It's amorphous politics. They were not like rigid. So Peter Eke spoke about the primordial versus the non-moral civic public. So colonialism was supposed to be, colonial state was the civic public, but it's also the amoral. So what does the state mean here? Okay, the civic public is understood as a location of oppression and violence. Nobody respected it, they didn't like it. So you see, because they don't believe in the state. The state only exists because the people in power has what? Monopoly of violence. And so what do people do? They go to the civic public to steal and enrich the primordial public, because they get their sense of identity, the sense of meaning, the sense of who they are, not from the civic public, but from the primordial public, according to Eke. So for him, the primordial public is the moral sphere. You know, it's kind of it's a place of where one gets the sense of identity. You know, he says it's the place that your meaning comes from. And it is more important than the civic public. So what we call corruption is corruption, but actually, I go to the civic to steal because the civic doesn't do anything for me. Who I am comes from the primordial. So if I'm in power, if you want to be recognized, especially in my own ethnicity, if you do everything for the nation state, for the civic state, nobody cares. But what did you do for your people is what matters more. Then you be a chief, they will celebrate you, because this is where your meaning is meaningful. So contextualism is still amorphous, it's abstract. But then the civic public, Peter Eke, this is the two poles of morality, argues it is amoral and lacks the moral imperatives characterizing the primordial public and the private realm. So The civic public for him, which is what we have, the civic public, is not grounded in tradition nor culture of the people, but rather a historical residue of colonial violence and colonial statehood. And so the impact continues. So people see the civic public as just the leftover legacies of colonialism. They don't take it serious. And so this is how the state became ruptured. So what does it mean? In my book, the last chapter, chapter 10, sorry, then says common sense nationalism towards a new nationalism in Africa, what I call common sense nationalism. To move away from this rupture, we're thinking, what does it mean to be an African in the 21st century? So this is part of the problem. So if we have these tensions and ambivalences, and the state is ruptured, it's a bit arbitrary. How then can you think that it's going to work in any function intergovernmental? People are still trying to find out who they are. Who are you representing in the regional bodies? Who are you representing in the regional bodies? That's another problem. Then, of course, the impact of the IFIs. IFIs means International Financial Institutions. SAPs means Structural Adjustment Program. Those of you who did that lecture with us in November, you would benefit now because we talked about it already. So the 1980s, for example, we're talking about regionalism. Now, third question to Catherine. So 1980s, there was a kind of a change, a strategy. So, well, how do we talk about regional integration when there's pressure from IMF, from World Bank to do structural adjustment program? So countries were forced to liberalize their trade regime. So if Ghana has SAPs, Nigeria has different, how can they work together in terms of free trade? You see, that's already part of the problem. That's number one. So because of the pressure, so you have different economic regime, SAPs in this country, and different kind of economic regime. See, the high politics doesn't speak to each other. There's no continuity, there's rupture. That's one. And so because of that, the international financial institutions specifically discourage integration, market integration, because this integration, remember, politically inspired, but economically determined. So the international financial institutions, the World Bank, all of them, they actually pushed against integration in Africa, and they had power. So Cote d'Ivoire, if you integrate with the ECOWAS, we're going to stop buying your bean. Nigeria don't drink coffee. People don't drink coffee in Nigeria. Are we going to buy your coffee? Ghana, are you going to eat your gold? We don't need your gold. What do we do? We don't care about gold in Ghana. So say, well, if you integrate, we're going to stop buying. So you see the pressure. So, and then of course, market integration again, which is the option, was seen as a counterproductive to the neoliberal orthodoxy that promoted the ability of the capitalist core to have unlimited ability to export the African periphery in the name of efficiency and competition. Competition, not neoliberal orthodoxy. It's competition, liberalize the market, competition, So this is actually very important, but it's not for this class. Should be another class in the political economy of Africa. In the political economy of Africa, if you talk about competition, I don't want to sneak it through the back door. And then Ujamaa, Zambian humanism, sorry, let me say this one, was an attempt to respond to these questions. So in Julius Nyerere tried to deal with this, okay, through Ujamaa, Zambian humanism. And what happened? They called him a communist. He was producing food, familyhood. People cannot produce enough food for themselves. But they pushed so much pressure that the country just became a banana republic. They couldn't even survive because of the pressure and the sanctions, because he wants to feed his own people. Rama Sankara tried, they killed him. So because of that, so you see the pressures. But that was the question. Someone was saying something because I need to go. I still have like 8 points on why regionalism failed in Africa, why it hasn't succeeded. And one of them has to do with the equality, power of different countries, power differentiation between two countries.